My name is Marco Fonseca, and I teach Latin American politics in the Department of Political Science here at the University of Toronto. Oh, he's overwhelmingly popular. He's a bit like this sort of the Passion of Christ phenomenon. You can say that there's a thing like the Passion of Che Guevara phenomenon that has been sweeping through Latin America for the last 10, 20 years. I think that one of the contradictory contributions of globalization to revolution is that it has revived, it has resurrected the image of Che Guevara. And together with Coca-Cola throughout the world, you can see the face of Che Guevara, and you can almost put the two together, and that defines globalization. You have Coca-Cola throughout the world, and you have the face of Che Guevara resisting Coca-Cola throughout the world. So that's what I see in him.
Pablo Ivanco, 23 years of age, Chilean descent. Study history and Latin American and Caribbean studies, and I'm a community activist, also active in organizations like Young Left, various anti-war, anti-imperialist coalitions, and also doing some educational work with minority youths. It's important to try to engage people in different sorts of ideas, provide for them a space where they can not only hear other people talk, but also use a room as a sounding board for their own ideas, and that's really what we started Che Cafe for. Well, we usually see quite a number of young people. Most of the people that come up to our events, our events usually are about 50 to 70 people, 50 to 80 people. We usually have them in small places because we can get these places for free. We don't want to charge people a lot to come to our events. And it's mostly young people, and I think particularly because of the cultural component, youth can relate to cultures like MCs or spoken word artists and stuff like that, and get the political messages or the ideas through that, as opposed to just people speaking like it's a lecture.
With the anarchists, but we are communists, positive, not pessimists. We will never miss the cops. 31 division.
I'd be doing this until something changes, until there's no necessity for this. But on the other hand, I think there's always a necessity for engaging people in politics, even if my and Che Guevara's ultimate vision, of a just, peaceful world were to be achieved. They could only be maintained through engaging people in the political process, through educating, the people in politics, and also being educated by the people in their experiences. That's the only way that things can be maintained. I think that's the only way things can be changed. So I think I'll probably be doing this for the rest of my life.
And I think this is the most powerful Che people know about, but it is, of course, the most problematic one, and that is the mythical Che. The Che of the Latin American Revolution, the image of Che as a kind of redemptionist liberator. And that is the one most people relate to. And I think that is the one that the young generation, the anti-globalization activists, for instance, seem to have a great deal of fondness for. The mythical Che, the guy who is going to liberate the world from the chains of bourgeois capitalism. But at the same time that is a powerful myth, is also the one that is least informed, is the one that doesn't pay attention to the historical man, the guy with roots in culture in Latin America, roots in machista, manly caudillo ideas of Che, very much part of Latin America. And so there's a contradiction between those two. Sometimes they seem to go hand in hand, but more often than not, I think people know little about the actual life of Guevara, about his dogmatic leanings, about his very macho sort of way of approaching work and women, and so on and so forth.
Watch this. So you say you want to do this, flew this like you do this, coming straight hardcore, like the Woo in 92 this.
I think a lot of people, as we had talked then, recognize it. Some of them even have a perception of that image being significant with respect to, how countercultural it is, how anti something it is, how it represents a revolutionary image. And that's the connection that we want to make to this, that we want people to we want to catch some, like, youth attention through that image, and to try to get that image to be connected with the politics of what we're trying to do in these cafes, so that they kind of understand those things.
On the one hand, I think it's a sort of an icon of modern culture, in that just as much as everything else, the image of Che Guevara has been commodified. Everything else has been commodified. I see no reason why the image of Che wouldn't have been commodified. On the other hand, though, it is a powerful symbol of freedom, even in the middle of this commodification of it. It still stands for anti-imperialism. It still stands for emancipation and sovereignty and self-determination, and it still stands for the values of people's revolution. So there is, even in the middle of the most commodified of images in the world, that of chess, there is still a potential for liberation. And this is not unlike, you see, the very nature of any other commodity. It is a product for exchange, but it also has a use value, right? So there is the use value of all commodities, but there's also the exchange value of all commodities. And chess image has both those kinds of values built into it.